Many Magic the Gathering players ask the question, what is the most powerful Commander Precon ever made? While both the power level of Commander Precons has been going up and up in recent years, with coherent plans, high-impact reprints, and a mana base good enough to let you enact that plan with moderate consistency, many Magic the Gathering Precons of the past are still remembered as being far superior to the decks of today. So how exactly does the modern era of Commander Precons stack up against the old guard? Are the Markov or Kaalia Precons really as good as people remember? What are the strongest Commander Precons of all time? This video will present the 5 strongest Commander Precons ever made. We've examined literally every Precon ever in terms of each deck's game plan, how much the cards in the 99 synergize with that game plan, whether the mana base helps or hinders that game plan, and of course the strength of that deck's commander, as well as the remaining cards within. So with all those metrics and more examined in detail, just what are the 5 most powerful Precons ever made and why? Let's take a look. And let's also be sure to get together in person to play Magic the Gathering at SCG Con Vegas this June 7th through the 9th. This is going to be one of the biggest Magic events of the year. SCG Con Vegas, and I'll be there to sling spells, sign cards, and meet all of you. SCG Con Vegas is a massive Commander celebration, offering single-day and weekend passes with Commander galore, including Star City Games' first 2-day 8K CEDH event. Hey, remember when I said CEDH was the future of Commander as an offhand remark on a Brazilian Commander podcast and got yelled at for like a week straight on the internet? Well, who's laughing now? This is also Modern Horizons 3 pre-release weekend, so what better place to experience Magic's newest set of the year than in Las Vegas at a major SCG convention? In addition to the Commander, CEDH, and Modern Horizons 3 pre-release events, there's also Pioneer and Modern 5Ks, a Legacy 1K, on-demand Modern Horizons 3 and Mystery Booster drafts, not to mention a Flesh and Blood battle-hardened and Pro Quest. Will there be more Legacy players or Flesh and Blood players at SCG Con Vegas? Come on down and find out. Registration is live now, so follow the links in this video's description and get ready to spend Modern Horizons 3 pre-release weekend in Las Vegas with me, the Professor! First up at number 5, we have Party Time, the Urzas Commander deck from Battle for Baldur's Gate. Party Time is headlined by Nalia d'Arnis, an incredibly powerful engine and payoff for party synergy, all wrapped up in a well-stated 3/3 for 3 mana. Nalia is an obscene card. 44 cards in the deck are creatures, each of which is either a warrior, wizard, cleric, or rogue. There's also no once per turn clause associated with her card advantage ability, meaning you can keep casting creatures from the top of your deck for as long as there are creatures to cast and mana to cast them. At only 3 mana, she can also start this train rolling as early as turn 3, and is easy to replay through Commander Tax if she ever gets removed. Her party payoff ability is exceptionally strong too, pumping your whole team and making them painful to block. It is not hard to get a full party in this deck, given that, again, each of the 44 creatures in the deck contribute to party, and Nalia herself covers 25% of your party needs. This deck also packs several powerful cards for a Precon, including Mother of Runes, Skullclamp, Deep Gnome Terramancer, Grim Hireling, and Black Market Connections. It's no wonder then that the total cost of the singles in this deck currently sits at $127, which is currently twice as much as its current $68 market price were you to buy a sealed copy on the secondary market today. Where Party Time loses the most points is its interaction suite and mana base. Interaction is sparse in the deck, with no 1-mana spot removal and only a couple spot removal spells of any kind. Instead of interacting with your opponents, the deck focuses on enacting and protecting its own game plan with lots of card advantage, protection spells, and recursion. And honestly, this strategy is an effective one for a precon. If you're very good at doing what your deck does best, who cares if you aren't interacting with your opponents? The best removal is player removal after all. Fortunately, the deck doesn't have too many strenuous mana requirements, so the basic heavy mana base doesn't hold the deck back as much as you might expect. All in all, Party Time is still one of the most powerful Commander precons ever made, so much so that even the historical greats would struggle to keep up with it. Number 4 on our list is Necron Dynasties, headlined by headlined by the Silent King. Necron Dynasties is powerful, consistent, and highly resilient. Graveyard strategies are always some of the strongest things you can do in Commander, and Necron Dynasties is no exception. The sleek monocolor mana base means you will never stumble on mana. The deck has a nice selection of early game plays, though it is a bit bloated on 4-drops, especially considering the Commander costs 4 mana. But with 5 sources of artifact ramp that accelerate you to 4 mana, you will at least start the train rolling ahead of schedule with reasonable consistency. The deck's game plan is remarkably powerful, pumping out a board full of artifact creatures, many of which either don't cost you a card or have the ability to come back from the dead for a turn thanks to Unearth. The deck has a few high-impact board wipes, including Mutilate, which will consistently sweep virtually any board with how many swamps the deck plays. Not only that, but both Living Death and Their Name is Death are effectively one-sided board wipes for a reasonable mana investment. Once you reach the late game, which you will thanks to your sweepers, Necron Dynasties is a true force to be reckoned with. Gilded Lotus, Scepter of Eternal Glory, and Caged Sun provide a massive boost to your mana, allowing you to play some positively berserk heavy hitters. Out of the Tombs and Biotransference are both powerful and hard to interact with engines. A host of reanimation spells can help you cheat on mana and bring back your highest impact cards when they're removed. The biggest downsides to Necron Dynasties are ones inherent to its monocolor identity and its reliance on artifact synergies. You have difficulty removing artifacts and enchantments, you cannot touch spells on the stack, and perhaps most importantly, your day can be ruined by a well-timed overloaded Vandal Blast. But honestly, these weaknesses are necessary for the deck to not just be entirely and unreasonably busted. The gist of Necron Dynasties is this: you will neither stumble on mana nor flood, since the deck packs so much to do with your mana all the time. You're always going to reach the late game, which you are well set up to dominate. Your recursion makes you hard to interact with, and your bevy of self-mill means you'll see most of your deck every single game. This consistency and resiliency goes a long, long way in a format like Commander that is defined by its high variance. But all that being said, any deck that can't be played as advertised should get docked a few points, and that's the only glaring issue that I have with this deck. The Commander at the front of the box is easily the worst of 5 potential Commanders included in the deck. Swap out that face Commander with any of the other legendaries, and you'll have a deck that's ready to kick all types of organic butt and wipe every player in your pod out of existence, metaphorically speaking, of course. In a win for dad bods everywhere, Urzas Iron Alliance takes the number 3 spot on our list. Both the Brothers War precons are remarkably powerful and well built, but Urzas Iron Alliance's game plan is faster, easier to pull off, and more resilient to disruption. Urza himself is a commander that gets out of hand very quickly, making massive construct tokens with evasion each turn. Because he has affinity for artifact creatures, he's hard to keep off the battlefield, since that cost reduction also applies to his commander tax. The deck packs an impressive 17 2-mana spells, meaning you will almost always have important plays in the early game. With 7 cheap mana rocks plus Scholar of New Horizons, Ethereum Sculptor, and Wreck Hunter, the deck plays a full 10 pieces of early mana acceleration. The deck is also full of ways to make massive artifact creatures, as well as pump your entire team of artifact creatures. It also has a nice selection of interaction, including 3 board wipes, plenty of removal for non-creature permanents, and of course the creme de la creme of creature removal, Swords to Plowshares. Urza's Iron Alliance isn't lacking in card draw draw either, with both repeatable card draw and powerful one-off mass card draw. The top end of the deck is compact with 0 stinkers. The most expensive card with no cost reduction or alternative mode is Mirror Battle Sphere. Excellent heavy hitter that has withstood the test of time for a reason. If the deck does have a weakness, it's the lack of counter magic. Not even a single Metallic Rebuke, Disruption Protocol, or any other artifact-themed counter spell. When playing against other precons, this won't be too much of a problem, but it could certainly come up when playing this deck versus more optimized decks. That being said, this deck has a very powerful and proactive game plan. It's got lots of good interaction for permanents and an impressively consistent mana base for a 3-color deck. I would feel very confident bringing this deck to a Commander game night, even if it was the only precon at the table. So what are the top 2 most powerful Commander precons ever made? Well, speaking of 2, I'm giving away 15 collector booster boxes of Modern Horizons 2 tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific on my Whatnot stream.
15 of them.
15 of these collector booster boxes of Modern Horizons 2 are going out to anyone in the stream. Just come hang out. And also, when you create your account using my invite link, you also get $15 to spend on anything on Whatnot. So that $15 is gonna get you free Magic cards, or put it towards packs or Commander precons, and maybe, just maybe, a free Modern Horizons 2 collector booster box. Just go to whatnot.com, /invite/Tolarian College, and I'll see you tomorrow, Thursday, May 9th at 4 p.m. Pacific for the big giveaway. The second strongest Magic the Gathering precon is also one that brings me a lot of joy. It's the Timey-Wimey Dr. Precon. The Timey-Wimey deck is another example of the high power level of Universes Beyond precons. In fact, all 4 Doctor Who precons could make a compelling case for landing on a list of the most powerful precons, but in my opinion, Timey-Wimey is the strongest of the bunch. Timey-Wimey is a bit complex, thanks to a handful of very wordy sagas and a mechanic that many new Magic the Gathering players wouldn't otherwise encounter. But once you get the hang of it, Suspend really isn't that tricky. The mechanic, in tandem with repeated instances of time travel, mean you can cheat some very powerful spells onto the stack well ahead of schedule. Any deck that can have 2 commanders is going to automatically have an edge in power level, since that essentially starts you with an extra card in hand. The commanders you have to choose from in Timey-Wimey are all quite good, and they're all synergistic with the deck's overall theme. This is a refreshing aspect to this deck. I've already said how frustrating it was that Mr. House didn't synergize at all with the rest of his precon, which of course is why I went ahead and built my own Mr. House precon, the video guide of which is available here if you have not already seen it. The 99 of Timey-Wimey is exceptionally tight, with very few cards that are not either highly synergistic or strong enough on their own to warrant inclusion. The deck even packs a reprint of Farewell, a notorious card these days for just how freaking strong it is in Commander. Everybody Lives is also an outstanding emergency button, better even than Heroic Intervention, and arguably on par with Teferi's Protection. It also happens to be one of my favorite, if not my very favorite, moments from all 60 years of Doctor Who, so if you want to see the best episode of Doctor Who ever, you need to watch the Empty Child Dr. Dance's 2-parter. Sorry, this is about the strongest Commander precons, not the best episodes of Doctor Who. Back on track, Prof. Back on track. Ahem. It's worth noting that there's no counter magic in this deck list either, but the fantastic mana base, coupled with a highly synergistic and powerful game plan, and a nice array of strong standalone cards, makes Timey-Wimey a truly special precon. Alright, you've waited for it, now here it is. The number 1 most powerful precon ever made is... There is no doubt in my mind that, as of the filming of this video anyway, the strongest Magic the Gathering Commander precon ever made is Eldrazi Unbound. The first ever entirely colorless precon, Eldrazi Unbound is new territory for the casual play designers at Wizards of the Coast. As such, I suspect they might have juiced the power level on this deck a bit to make up for its lack of color identity, but that's just fine by me since we, the player base, get to reap the rewards. Eldrazi Unbound is a colorless deck with an extremely high curve. The deck is helmed by, oh god, is it Zuluodoc? Zula Duck. The deck is helmed by Void Gorger, a 6-mana 7/4 that gives your giant colorless spells double cascade. That means once you get your mana online, easy to do thanks to the heaps of mana rocks and other acceleration at the bottom of your curve, your already strong top end will bring with it more top end, and then even more top end after that. Kozilek, the Great Distortion, is an absolute house, refilling your hand and repeatedly countering your opponent's best spells as long as you have fodder to discard. Rise of the Eldrazi, a new card designed for this precon, is another staggering top end card. Removal, card draw, and an extra turn effect, all wrapped up in a 12-mana package. But the thing about Eldrazi Unbound is that casting these massive spells is not only achievable, it's the entire point of the deck. Whereas many of the worst precons throughout history have expensive top-end cards for the sake of expensive top-end, I'm looking at you, Zatalpa Primal Dawn. Eldrazi Unbound's whole deal is ramping up to spells that cost 7 mana or more. And once you start casting these spells, said spells will then cascade into other great spells, or more mana ramp to help you cast even bigger spells. Now, if you're familiar with the deck, you probably already think of the mana base as being superb, but I'm here to tell you it's actually better than you already think. See, despite being a monocolor, or really a no-color deck, there's still only 15 basic wastes in the deck, which is well under half the total lands. The rest of the land selection is full of useful utility lands like Blast Zone, War Room, and Tyrite's Sanctum, as well as lands that tap for additional mana like Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, Eldrazi Temple, and of course, the Urza lands. The deck has an inherent weakness in that only having access to colorless spells does mean your interaction will be more expensive on rate than those same effects on a colorless card. But while those issues are real, they are more than mitigated by the deck's plentiful ramp and its overwhelming and proactive game plan. Once you get your mana going, the deck pops off, and you're going to have more mana earlier than any of your non-green opponents. Honestly, I'd go so far to say the ramp in this deck is competitive, even with mono-green decks. For all those reasons, and probably many more I didn't mention, I believe Eldrazi Unbound stands tall as the strongest Commander precon that we have ever seen. You may have noticed that all the precons on this list are from the last few years of releases. I truly believe precons now are stronger than they've ever been, and this list reflects that. But in my opinion, this is a good thing. Precons should be good enough to hold their own at the average Commander table. That's how you get new players to stick around. But more importantly, what do you think the strongest Commander precon ever is, and why? Did I disrespect your favorite old precon? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, I'll be giving away 15 of these 15 collector booster boxes of Modern Horizons 2 tomorrow. That's Thursday, May 9th at 4 p.m. Pacific. All you have to do is be in the stream for a chance to win one. I'll ship it to you anywhere in the world, but if you create your Whatnot account using my invite code, you'll also get $15 to spend on any Magic the Gathering products or accessories or cards or packs or other awesome items that are available on Whatnot. Hey, it's 15 free bucks and maybe you'll walk away with a free, what are these worth? If we got 15 of them. So create an account at www.whatnot.com/Tolarian College for $15 in credit and then hang out with me tomorrow and maybe take home a free collector booster box of Modern Horizons 2, because I'm giving away 15 of them. They got fetch lands in them, baby.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Players learn Magic the Gathering.
I'm Paul from Team APS. I'm playing the Warhammer Precon.
I'm Alec. I'm playing Dog Meat.
I am Larry from Team APS, Davros, the Dalek creator.
The precon I selected is Samwise Gamgee. I have created upgrade packets for you.
Cast Supply Llama.
Is that a Fortnite llama?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Our Wait, did we make an alliance or did you? He just shakes
People
that. He didn't even negotiate.
It's very vanilla.
I've been described as very vanilla.
And we are going to start my villain phase.
Let me get this straight. Lose a card.
Yes.
Or you gain a card.
It's a villainous choice. I'm sorry. Heaven again.
Yeah, there's some
Is
of the
that
upgrades.
Ash?
Wait, I think I know this.